I'm John DeSando.
Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn, soda pop with our friends. Turn off our cell phones and get away. Night or day, it's John DeSando on the radio. We'll watch the credits from up high and low. Cinema Classics.
Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando. It airs Thursdays at 8:01 p.m. on WCBE 90.5 FM. Listen to shows and reviews online at WCBE.org.
Sitting in for John DeSando, I'm Mary Yerina.
And I'm Nancy Brownell.
And this is Cinema Classics. Nancy, this week we're talking about not just a classic film, but a classic duo in film. Set it up for us.
We're talking about Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy, who did, I'm now finding from Mary's research, 9 total films
together.
in Hollywood in the 1940s and 50s and into the 60s that are now considered to be some of the best films on many, many top 10 lists around the world.
And our discussion was prompted by Adam's Rib, which is part of the Kappa Summer Movie Series, which airs nothing but classics, and prompted me to want to have a great discussion with you about not only the film, but Hepburn and Tracy together. So tell us about Adam's Rib and why this one is such a classic.
In some ways, I think this is my personal favorite. I know a lot of people really love the last film that they did together, which was Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, but this is such a great battle of the sexes, courtroom drama, also just a slice of life, a particular type of people living in New York in that time that it's got everything, and that's why I think it's such a classic.
It does have everything. We have Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy playing a married couple of attorneys, the Bonners, Adam and Amanda, and their battle really comes forth not just from their marriage, which is actually the latter battle, but it comes forth from the court case. And I know you and I had a little bit of banter about the court case itself, so I felt that it's representative of things that we still see today. We have, in fact, the movie opens with Judy Holliday playing the afflicted wife stalking her husband.
Her straying husband. And who ends up actually entering the apartment where he's having a rendezvous with his lover, played by the wonderful Jean Hagen. And love her. Lena Lamont from Singin' in the Rain. This is one of her earlier roles. And her shooting at them, I will say one of the funniest things is she's entering the apartment with the gun and she gets out of her purse the instruction manual on how to actually use the gun. So when she fires the gun at them in their apartment, she's not even looking, and she just miraculously, from her standpoint, actually hits her philandering husband. The next morning, we meet Adam and Amanda, who are going through their morning routine before they go into their respective offices and are reading the headlines about this case. And Katharine Hepburn's character, who's very representative, I think, of her as a person, she's an attorney in New York in 1949 and has her own law practice. Which is so unusual for the
Very
time.
unusual.
Women attorney, like that wasn't done, and it just personally, I find it so fascinating. My grandmother was that type of woman because she was a doctor in the 1930s, which was very unusual. So I sort of look at these and go like, I wonder if my grandmother felt that same way at that same time.
Well, and it's representative, I think, of the characters that Katharine Hepburn played. And interestingly, this movie premise is actually based on a real case. It was written by very good friends of Hepburn and Tracy, Ruth Gordon, and I'm going to forget her husband's name, Garson Kanin, who in fact won an original screenplay Oscar for this film. But it's based on the divorce case of Raymond Massey. The attorneys that represented both Raymond Massey and his wife were a married couple. And that's what inspired them to write this
film for Hepburn and Tracy. And I just found it fascinating that they took that real life dynamic and played it out in film in such a cutting edge societal way, because they brought up issues that I think are still relevant today.
Absolutely.
But in a very, maybe didn't carry over into modern times as much the way it was handled, but they talk about mental and physical abuse of the afflicted wife as part of her defense. And that's why Amanda Bonner, Catherine's character, comes to her defense, because it's about women and it's about women equality and being judged by the same standards.
Yeah, I think the thing that really struck me a lot were some of the quotes that I had a quote from the film that were all about marriage. They were talking about marriage as a partnership. No part of marriage is the exclusive province of one sex. No one is above the law. They were really trying to look at marriage as being more a joining of equals in this film, rather than the more portrayal of the people that are on trial of like the man can do whatever he wants and the woman just has to put up with it. And it's this really juxtaposition between those two different marriages in this film.
Well, and I also found it was a juxtaposition between where we are today with laws and where they were back then. Because this is really about, for Amanda's point of view, equal treatment under the law, and as you said, being judged the same way. But then we also had aspects of the film related to marriage that were just so insulting, if you will, because there's one line where the philandering husband, played by Tom Ewell, is on the stand and being asked about his relationship with his wife, and actually claims that she had gotten too fat.
Oh, I know, that was really burned my britches.
Well, I hope not literally.
No.
But, that was just one of the lines that I thought, it just doesn't play well by today's standards.
Well, and some of the other ones that were in there that even like Spencer Tracy uttered, which were, I'm old-fashioned, I like two sexes. And I'm like, ooh, that one wouldn't play as well today. Or I don't like being married to a new woman. It's just, he is really struggling with the fact that his wife has her own ideas and has her own agenda in this case, and that she's not just falling in line and doing what he wants, but she is really asserting her own independence.
Yeah, and there, if we haven't made it clear, he's the district attorney prosecuting the wife, and because of that and her interest in the case, Amanda actually seeks out the client in order to defend her because of how she believes in the law. It does impact their marriage, and that plays out as well with a pretty funny but stark ending, which for those of you who haven't seen the film, since it's been made in 1949, I don't think it's a spoiler. But it's their marriage after the case ends. Adam goes to their apartment building, and he sees through the window what he thinks is Amanda maybe having drinks, maybe dancing with their neighbor, who's always been openly attracted to her. Kip is played by the wonderful David Wayne.
Is he really attracted to her, or is he just a womanizer?
I think he's a womanizer.
She's just another convenient woman to him.
Well, I think it's the idea of her. She's unattainable to him, so therefore he wants her.
Yeah.
But he walks in on them and confronts them, and Amanda says in the heat of the moment that nobody has the right to shoot anybody. And he then puts the gun to his mouth and bites into it because it's made of licorice.
That is such a funny moment.
Because he has made his legal point that he was right in the argument of his case, which is very reflective of the dynamic of their relationship,
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
on film.
Yeah. And I wondered, where was that a thing to have licorice guns back then? I mean, this is so specific that I'm really surprised. But anyway, that's
Well, I'm not aware of any licorice guns. I personally was hoping it was chocolate,
yeah.
but it was licorice. And he took a really big bite of it too. That would be so gross.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. Yeah, go ahead, you were gonna say.
Well, I think it's definitely, out of the 9 films, it's one of the top films for sure. And I think it's one worth seeing. So if you haven't seen it, definitely seek it out. But we have 8 other films that Hepburn and Tracy made that made them the legends together that they became, that they were already independent. And I think we need to talk more about that on Double Take. What do you think, Nancy?
Sounds like a good idea.
So would you recommend the film before we sign off?
100%, if you have never seen this film, you really should do yourself a favor and see these 2 amazing actors at the height of their career bantering with the best of them.
I'm John DeSando.
Cinema, 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 cinema. Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn, soda pop with our friends. Turn off our cell phones and get away. Night or day, it's John DeSando on the radio. We'll watch the credits from up high and low. Cinema classics on NPR.